Hey guys, HaFast Garage here, back in the shop again today. Working on the daily, working on the square body, waiting on parts for the daily, so today I'm actually working on the square body. I'm just finishing up the cross member behind the rear of the cab, where the frame was previously cracked and broken. I did some fish plating in there and built a whole new cross member. So I'm just getting it all tacked up right now and ready to burn in, so I'll show you that right now. Here we are behind the cab. This here is the original cross member that I cut out. You can see it's pretty rusted out. It served its time. I didn't really like the looks of it and how it traps everything inside of there. So what I did was I cut all that out. I put in a piece of 2x3 rectangular quarter wall, and then I gusseted it with some dimple dies. Got everything tacked right now, and then I miter cut and wedged some more pieces to go underneath, just to kind of match the way the original one looked, but you know, make it my own, make it stiffer and stronger. So that's what I've got. I'm gonna burn that in. Just finished getting the cross member all burnt in. Not the prettiest thing I've ever done, but some of the welds are better than others. Should hold up to what I'm doing. It's definitely going to be stronger than what it was. So now I'm going to work on cleaning up the frame with the wire wheel, plugging shut any of the holes that I won't be using, grinding off extra stuff where I had reinforcements previously, and getting it prepped for paint, and also working on the rear cross member. Now here's a little trick I saw on Stacy David's Gears or Trucks, something like that, like 20 years ago. You take a piece of aluminum and you put it on the back side of your hole when you're welding it shut, and that's what I did right here to these two. I ground the top flat, and on the inside it's perfectly smooth. You can't see anything on the inside, so it's a good way to plug any unnecessary holes if you're looking to do that on a chassis. So I went ahead and added this piece just to reinforce the frame rails. I had a piece back here. I had to cut it out so that I can start working on the rear section of the cross member. So right here is where the previous owner had extended the frame 2 feet. They had a 10-foot flatbed on it. So I'll be cutting it right here on these welds, grinding it flat, because this hole right here is the last bolt for the final cross member to hold the bed in place. So that's where I'm going to be starting the rear cross member to tie everything together. So let's get to work. So I got the rear of the frame trimmed. Gonna go ahead and grind the weld that was there, clean it up. It's pretty thick because they put C-channel on the inside, but I really can't be bothered to try and take that all out of there, so I'm just gonna place this piece of box tubing in here like that. We'll have ourselves a rear cross member. I'll put a couple of pieces to cap the ends. That'll be good enough. Just got this slightly welded in. I had to grind it off because there was so much oil and undercoating on the frame, so I'll have to do a second pass on top to clean it up. Weld this side, and then I'll be making a diamond shaped piece of flat plate to cap the end off or something like that. It's coming along very nicely. So I'll just have to wire wheel and grind, sand the rest of the frame, degrease it as best as I can, and then it'll be ready for paint once all the welding's done. This is where I'm at for today. The front cross members burnt in entirely. I got part of the frame cleaned up and wire wheeled. The inside, gonna try and clean it up a bit more if I can. The rear cross member, I've got the top welded. I'm not gonna bother welding this seam because I'll be capping it off, so that should be enough to hold it together once it's welded on all the other sides. It's coming along nicely. I was going to replace this dented section, cut it out, but I'd really like to drive this truck this summer, and every time I look at it, it's just another thing, so I'm gonna call it good enough, drive it. I can play around with it later. I'm really happy with it. So stay tuned for more progress.